Less than 48 hours after Alaska, the impossible became reality at the White House. The man who would normally wear a T-shirt to the White House, standing next to the man in the suit, it represents more than just a meeting. It's the collision of two worlds, one built on endless war profits, the other on ending the killing. What Trump revealed in that room, in the Oval Office, has sent shockwaves through every defense contractor boardroom in America. The phone calls, the letters, the secret negotiations, it's all coming together in ways the establishment never saw coming. And what Melania Trump did behind the scenes, that's the part that will really blow your mind. This is history in real time, so don't blink. Now, before we dive into today's news, here's a quick word from our sponsor, Hyperbit Technologies, trading under HYPAF on the U.S. market. As President Trump puts the spotlight on crypto and pushes forward policies to keep America ahead in the digital asset race, Hyperbit is charging ahead with next-generation crypto mining technology, expanding on their multi-million-dollar crypto treasury that already includes Bitcoin and Ethereum, and aiming to position itself to benefit from pro-innovation laws and executive orders. This is a complete, diversified company that gives you one-stop exposure to the entire crypto sector without having to pick and choose individual projects. Honestly, I could talk about Hyperbit all day, but Trump's bold pro-crypto stance says it all. So for everything you need to know, check out the link in the description below, www.hyperbit.ca. Now, here is the moment that shocked the world. Yeah, Zelensky in a suit showing up at the White House. Eric Darty writes, President Trump again remarked on Zelensky's attire upon greeting him at the White House. Zelensky appears to say, the best I have in regards to his wardrobe.
The best I have. You see? Ready, face? Ready, step?
The best I have? You heard him say it, right?
The best I have. You see? Ready, face? Ready, step?
We love them. We love them. Thank you very much, everybody.
You know, I want to point out that's the same suit he wore at NATO. You know, I kid. I joke about, you know, the fact that he never wears a suit. You know, and the only reason I take this position is just because I'm so annoyed with how much money we've sent over there. And there's no accountability for it. And all he does is keep coming and asking for more rather than trying to figure out how to achieve peace. Well, of course, he's at the White House now, and that is what is being discussed. Let's check this out. Check this out here. Zelensky's asked if he's prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their death rather than redraw the maps, and he refuses to answer and goes back to platitudes about needing support.
President Zelensky.
Now, of course, the scene is at the Oval Office. This is a impromptu press gaggle, or a spray as they call it. And let's listen.
President Zelensky, are you prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their deaths for another couple years, or are you going to agree to redraw the maps?
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, you know, we live under each day attacks. You know that today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead, small one year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners. And we will do our best for this. So, and I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for trilateral, as President said. This is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good. Thank you.
You know, at least the discussion is happening. This is a historic photograph taken in the Oval Office during this was posted by the White House. Happening now in the Oval Office. Another historic photograph. The globalists wait outside while the Donald negotiates peace. Andrew Pollock posting this just a few hours ago. Look at that. It's like they're all waiting to go see the principal after being naughty, right? That's the visualization I get. Macron and all the world leaders there getting ready to go in. So Brian Glenn of Newsmax, if you recall, was the reporter who asked Zelensky about why he never wears a suit. Well, he's back in the Oval Office and had this opportunity to do a follow-up question.
Yeah, you look, President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
Yeah, I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed. You are not.
Maybe yours is much better.
Oh, that's funny, man. Zelensky fired back. You're wearing the same suit. That's hilarious. Yeah, that question certainly caused a lot of stir. Here's the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni's reaction. They say priceless as German Chancellor Merz is lecturing Trump that he needs to go to a ceasefire with Putin instead of a full peace deal. She keeps rolling her eyes. The plan was not to do a ceasefire. Listen.
Meeting to work on that, and let's try to put pressure on Russia, because the credibility of these efforts we are undertaking today are depending on at least a ceasefire from the beginning of the serious negotiations from next step on. So I would like to emphasize this aspect and would like to see a ceasefire from the next meeting, which should be a trilateral meeting wherever it takes place.
Well, we're going to let the president go over and talk to the president.
Wow, body language is everything. You see it in her eyes, you see it in her jaw. Every time he says ceasefire, she's like, what? What are you talking about? Rolling her eyes. You can see her jaw get tight. Because she's like, this is not what we talked about. What? Look at it right there. Right there. Look at her. Yep. She's like, yeah, that ain't happening. Let's check in with the Hodge twins asking, don't you find it weird that the media isn't up Trump's ass attacking him 24/7 like they were in his first presidency? Hillary Clinton, they were quote tweeting Hodge twins. Hodge twins were quote tweeting Nick Fuentes. Hillary Clinton and CNN are now pro-Trump. I just can't handle all of this winning. Trump is truly our vengeance. This appears to be from the video where she actually called for Trump to get a Nobel Peace Prize.
Have to be followed through. I actually was encouraged by the events of the last several months. First of all, the NATO commitment by individual member states to increase their defense spending is very welcome. It's something that prior administrations have certainly sought, and I think it's great that we are seeing these commitments that now have to be followed through on.
She's praising Trump's move at NATO. Oh, my goodness. Did I tell you I went to NATO? Yeah, I heard that right there. Oh, my goodness. Hillary Clinton praising Trump for his NATO moves. Hell is frozen over, folks. Or maybe she just doesn't want to go to prison.
The willingness of European countries to support Ukraine, and by doing so, buy American weapons in order to provide them to the Ukrainians. I think all of that is a very good signal that there is beginning to be a better understanding, both by the president and the people around him, as well as by the leaders of our European allies, that there can be common ground amongst us. And the kind of dismissiveness that we saw in the first Trump administration has been replaced by a much more obvious working relationship to the good of European security, transatlantic security, and hopefully Ukrainian security. So I'm actually encouraged. I actually
Are you catching this?
Was encouraged.
Are you catching this? Yes, Hillary is clearly desperate not to go to prison. Here's another shot. President Trump welcoming Zelensky to the White House. And that was the moment that he remarked, hey, you look great in that suit. It fits you really good. Zelensky met with Trump, Special Representative Keith Kellogg in Washington, D.C. He's in a T-shirt, no suit today. This was 10 hours ago. Actually, no, this was an older meeting. So, fact check real quick. Readers added context to this video. This is an older meeting. Zelensky did not wear a T-shirt today. Of course, Zelensky getting trolled in Washington. Someone put up this sign, wear a suit, bro. And he got the memo. Okay, let's get into some of these negotiations. Here's President Trump speaking with Putin.
I think if we have a try, we just spoke to, I was just telling the president, I just spoke to President Putin indirectly, and we're going to have a phone call right after these meetings today. And we may or may not have a trilat. If we don't have a trilat, then the fighting continues. And if we do, we have a good chance. I think if we have a trilat, there's a good chance of maybe ending it. But he's expecting my call when we're finished with this meeting.
So Putin and Trump will have a phone call, or likely already did have that phone call following the meeting. Here's more from President Trump in the Oval.
Over the years, they're great. Well, I know Ukrainian people. I've known many over the years. They're great people. They're smart. They're energetic. They love their country. I mean, they love their country, and we want to get this war ended. That's all I can do. I love the Ukrainian people, but I love all people. I love the Russian people. I love them all. I want to get the war stopped. Well, I know Ukraine.
End the war. Here's more on President Trump.
I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept, you know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire. I don't think you need a ceasefire.
Let's keep going. I'm not sure what he's referring to there, because I do recall the ceasefire that was initially brokered between Cambodia and Thailand that was specifically a ceasefire. So maybe he's referring to something else. I'm not sure. Here's President Trump on the fake news.
You got Moscow. It's an amazing phenomenon. I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But you know, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know, the one I'm talking about, it was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and you know, this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good. But they'll say, Trump was absolutely horrible. It's just that, and I've lived with that for a long time. I've lived with it since just before the first election. I used to get great publicity. Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office, but I won in a landslide, so that people understand. They're the only ones that count, ultimately. But I've also had great reporters. I've had journalists that are very good. But it's very sad when you do the right thing. As an example, they said, because of the fact that Vladimir Putin came to American soil, this was a tremendous defeat for Donald Trump. No, it was really wonderful that he did it. It was a hard thing for him to do, to be honest with you. It was the opposite of what they said, but they said it. Now, if he didn't come, they'd say that was also bad for Trump. You know, there's no way. And there's just a great dishonesty of the press, and I think that's why it's lost its credibility. You know, its credibility is at an all-time low.
And that's why people are turning to Next News Network to get the real truth, not what comes out of corporate boardrooms at CNN. Continuing on. This is the discussion about what the First Lady has been doing, Melania Trump, behind the scenes. First off, we have this. This is the letter that she wrote, the heartfelt letter, the peace letter to Putin, hand-delivered by President Trump in Alaska. In protecting the innocence of these children, you will do more than serve Russia alone. You will serve humanity itself. It's time. This is the letter Melania wrote, and President Trump reacting to it in the Oval.
She has, the First Lady felt very strongly. She's watched the same thing that you watch and that I watch. I see things that you don't get to see, and it's horrible. But when she's got a great love of children, she has a wonderful son that she loves, probably more than anybody, including me. I hate to say it, but she loves her son. She loves children, and she hates to see something like this happening. And that goes for other wars too. I mean, she sees the heartbreak, the parents, the funerals that you see on television. Always funerals. We want to see something other than funerals. No, she felt it was a beautiful letter. It was very well received by him. And she did ask me to say, you know, she would love to see this end. She would love to see it end. And she says it very openly, very proudly, and with great sorrow, because so many people have been killed. The First Lady felt.
And that's why it all needs to come to an end. And that's what President Trump's working towards right now. Let's continue. We got some more from the Oval Office. There's so much news. It's almost impossible to pack it all into one report, but we're doing our best. Here's more from the president in the Oval Office. Let's see.
But we're going to work with Ukraine. We're going to work with everybody, and we're going to make sure that if there's peace, the peace is going to stay long term. This is very long term. We're not talking about a 2-year peace and then we end up in this mess again. We're going to make sure that everything's good. We'll work with Russia. We're going to work with Ukraine, and we're going to make sure it works. And I think if we can get to peace, it's going to work. I have no doubt about it. But we're going to work with.
Just watching this moment, thinking and reflecting upon what the Democrats did to this guy, impeaching him twice, all the attacks, and here he is brokering one of the most historic peace accords in the world. Okay, let's continue.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have the president of Ukraine with us. We've had a lot of good discussions, a lot of good talks, and I think progress is being made, very, very substantial progress in many ways. We had a good meeting, as you know, just a short while ago with the president of Russia, and I think there's a possibility that something could come out of it, and today's meeting is very important. We have, I guess, the seven very powerful leaders from Europe, and we're going to be meeting with them right after this meeting, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Let's see. Here's more.
That if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat, and I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that.
Ending the war. That's what needs to happen. I think we have some more. There was a press conference too. I want to see if I can find that. This was the post-Zelensky meeting. Let's check in. Here's President Trump outlining the points that will be discussed in the meeting with Zelensky and the European leaders.
The Alaska summit reinforced my belief that while difficult, peace is within reach, and I believe that in a very significant step, President Putin agreed that Russia would accept security guarantees for Ukraine, and this is one of the key points that we need to consider, and we're going to be considering that at the table also, like who will do what, essentially. I'm optimistic that collectively we can reach an agreement that would deter any future aggression against Ukraine, and I actually think there won't be. I think that's even overrated, largely overrated, but we're going to find out. And I think that the European nations are going to take a lot of the burden. We're going to help them, and we're going to make it very secure. We also need to discuss the possible exchanges of territory, taking into consideration the current line of contact. That means the war zone, the war lines that are pretty obvious, very sad, actually, to look at them. And negotiating positions. President Putin, also, you have President of Ukraine, who is, you just met a little while ago, and we're going to try and get a three-party meeting, maybe as soon as we can. And I have a feeling you and President Putin are going to work something out. Ultimately, this is a decision that can only be made by President Zelensky and by the people of Ukraine working also together in agreement with President Putin. And I just think that's very good things are going to come of it. So I hope we have a good meeting. And if we can have a good meeting, I'll set up a meeting with President Putin. And if you'd like, I'll go to that meeting. And not that I want to do that, but I will do that because we want to save a lot of people from dying. A lot of people are dying, and we got to save them. The Alaska summit.
Can you imagine the visuals coming from that? Yeah. Here is more from the meeting.
Peace, and all of us would obviously prefer an immediate ceasefire while we work on a lasting peace, and maybe something like that could happen. As of this moment, it's not happening, but President Zelensky and President Putin can talk a little bit more about that. You know, in the 6 or so wars that we stopped, we haven't had a ceasefire. And so I don't know that it's necessary. You can do it through the war, but it would be, I like the ceasefire from another standpoint. You immediately stop the killing. But I believe a peace agreement at the end of all of this is something that's very attainable, and it can be done in the near future. With all of the wars that I got involved in, we only have this one left. Of course, as I walk out the door, there'll probably be a new one starting, and I'll get that stopped too. But I thought this was going to be one of the easier ones. It's actually one of the most difficult and very complex. The next step would be for a trilateral meeting, and that will be worked out. And I just look forward to working and having a great result. All of us would obviously.
Looks like we got some reaction from Marco Rubio just in a few moments ago with Jesse Waters.
Have such alliances. Any sovereign country in the world has a right to enter into security alliances with other countries. You know, it's not just NATO. We have such alliances with South Korea. We have it with Japan. Other countries have it with each other. And so I think everyone would acknowledge, including, by the way, for the first time, the Russian side, under President Trump's sort of pressure or, you know, a suggestion, is that in fact, a Ukraine post-conflict has a right to enter into security agreements with other countries. And we will work with our European allies and non-European countries, by the way, to build such a security guarantee. We're working on that right now. We'll continue to work on that. And that'll be something that'll have to be in place after a peace deal. So that
a security agreement with the United States. Interesting. Let's continue. There's another clip here just coming in.
We're there on the. Well, I think the whole thing
Secretary
was a big
Rubio.
moment. Unprecedented, really, when you think about all these European leaders came here, 7 that were there on the, and that included the head of NATO and the head of the EU. And they all said the same thing, which is this, you know, after 3 years of sort of deadlock and no talks and no change in circumstances, this is the first time where there seems to be some movement. Now, look, this is a complicated war. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this has been going on for 3.5 years. A lot of people have died. A lot of territories exchanged back and forth. So it's not an easy thing to unwind. But nothing was happening on this war. Literally, the only option that we were given under the previous administration was continue to fund Ukraine for however much they need, for however long it takes. And now you have people actually talking about pathways towards ending it. Now, it's going to take a little bit more work and a little bit more time, but we are making progress. It's not me saying it. That is virtually every leader there today said that in front of the cameras, and they're saying it for a reason, because it's true and they're witnessing it and they've been a part of it. Well, I think the whole thing.
Let's see if we can get some reaction. Here is the Secretary General of NATO.
That you, as I I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call, and from there we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. It is a terrible war. So I'm really excited. I really want to thank.
Here is Zelensky.
Very good. Thank you so much. I think that we had very good conversation with President Trump.
Very good.
And it really was the best one. Maybe the best one will be in the future. But it was really good. And we spoke about very sensitive points. Thank you so much. I think
here's more. This is the Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
Meeting. And President dear Donald, many thanks for having us today. I think this is extremely helpful that we are meeting and hearing that the two of you are having such a good meeting today here in Washington. The next steps ahead are the more complicated ones now. The path is open. You opened it last Friday. But now the way is open for complicated negotiations. President dear Donald, many thanks for having us.
Let's keep going. There's so much to get to. Here's the Prime Minister Keir Starmer.
Discussion on the phone. I think this is such an important meeting. As a group, I think we've had a discussion on the phone a number of times, Mr. President, but be able now to be around the table to take it forward. And I really feel that we can, I think, with the right approach this afternoon, make real progress, particularly on the security guarantees, and your indication of security guarantees of some sort of Article 5 style guarantees fits with what we've been doing with the Coalition of the Willing, which we started some months ago, bringing countries together and showing that we were prepared to step up to the plate when it came to security. With you coming alongside, the US alongside what we've already developed, I think we could take a really important step forward today. A historic step, actually, could come out of this meeting in terms of security for Ukraine and security in Europe. I also feel that we can make real progress towards a just and lasting outcome. Obviously, that has to involve Ukraine, and a trilateral meeting seems the sensible next step. So thank you for being prepared to take that forward, because I think if we can ensure that that is the progress out of this meeting, both security guarantees and some sort of progress on trilateral meeting of some sort to bring some of the difficult issues to a head, then I think today will be seen as a very important day in recent years in relation to a conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point. So I thank you for that. I think this is such.
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. What you just saw is what real leadership looks like. Trump went from Putin to Zelensky in 48 hours, doing what career politicians called impossible. He's not playing favorites. He said it straight. I love the Ukrainian people. I love the Russian people. I love them all. That is not weakness, that's strength. While Biden sent blank checks and body bags, Trump is actually sending negotiations and peace proposals. Even Melania is stepping up with handwritten letters about saving children. I mean, the media mock Trump's art of the deal. Well, 6 wars ended this year says different. Solutions. In the establishment, they can't compute because their entire business model depends on forever wars. So here's my question. When Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize for ending this war, should he thank Putin for showing up? Zelensky for wearing a suit? Or Hunter Biden for making his dad look so bad? Drop your answer below. Make sure you grab some merch on your way out at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Tap the link in the description. You might find something you like.